Man, there's just been a ton of cool guns out lately. I think I revealed all of them. What am I gonna do this week? Come on, Mark. Think. No way. Really? Another Glock? Man, the Glock factory is really working on that overtime, churning out these new Glocks for you guys. But I swear, there has to be something more here. Oh, do we have an episode for you guys? So, after brief moments of pause from airsoft manufacturers around the world, we have now officially hit the crazy summer season. Believe it or not, this is kind of like the summer blockbuster release of airsoft guns. Every few weeks, I'm reviewing something cool. And just this week alone, 2 really cool new models just hit my desk at the same time. At one side, it is the Glock 19 Gen 4, and the other side is the Hudson H9. Now, as odd as it may seem that I'm pitching these two against each other, it's kind of like saying we're going to compare Sam Jackson against, Chris Pratt. Again, odd pairing. One's polymer frame, one's full metal, one's compact, one's full size. Hear me out, guys. I'm going to take a few liberties when we're breaking down the competition, but this is going to be an exciting breakdown nonetheless to see who takes home the most prestigious title of Best Pistol for the middle of July 2019. I've been doing a lot of talking about Glocks lately, so right now I'm going to move this guy out of the way. And we're going to focus on the Hudson H9. Now the H9 was revealed to us in SHOT Show several years ago. And if you look closely, there's something familiar about this gun, isn't there? Did you see it? Did you see the familiarity? Did you see the 1911 that was sitting right here? Well, if you saw a 1911, that's because the Hudson H9 was the brainchild of a husband and wife tandem, Cy and Lauren Hudson. And their design philosophy for the H9 was they wanted to have a natural evolution of the 1911 platform. What would it look like in the 21st century? It's time for a quick history lesson. The 1911 was a revolutionary pistol during its time and boasted many innovations, such as popularizing the box mag feeding method for pistols and using cycling of the slide to chamber your next round. Though some may argue the 1911 wasn't the first to do these things, it certainly brought them to the mainstream. For its namesake, the 1911 was made back in the year 1911. And to this day, much of the technology and design remains unchanged. Yes, you may not have realized that many are still shooting what was designed essentially 100 years ago. Well, to say that innovation comes slow to the firearms industry may be a slight understatement. What Hudson inspired to do was to reimagine the classic 1911 for what it would be in the 21st century. Starting with the initial design of the H9, the Hudsons were looking for a gun that would give them a bit of inspiration. They wanted something that really stood out in terms of technology, reliability, and of course, performance. So the gun they looked at was, well, the Glock. Starting from the front of the gun, the H9 does have a very elongated front here. It does kind of resemble the ghost-faced killer from the Scream movies. But other than that, if you look at the rest of the lines of the gun, you can clearly see that there is a bit of Glock in the H9. All the lines and design elements of a Glock are here, albeit with a different aspect ratio. Now, looking at the rear, it gives you a great sense of resemblance in the way you can tell one Kardashian is related to the other. Much like what Glocks are known for, the H9 also has a trigger safety of its own design. Although some may be a bit 50-50 on this one. More on that a little bit later. Other than that, the profile of the H9 sports a clean, modern look that might find itself in a futuristic Hollywood movie in the near future. But can it beat this? This is the Glock 19 Gen 4, and probably the most awaited Glock from the Umarex lineup. Those of you looking at this thing might be thinking, is it just a facelifted Gen 3? If you're thinking that, oh boy, I gotta tell you, sorry man, you're wrong. There's more to this new Glock than meets the eye. The Glock 19 is easily Glock's most popular gun in their lineup for the real steel world, and rightly so. It is compact size, making it extremely easy to carry on a daily basis, and it's also chambered at 9mm, meaning you're gonna get a ton of capacity compared to some other size pistols. Back to this airsoft gun though. The frame is patterned after the Gen 4 frames, so same as the Glock 17 Gen 4s with improved checkering. That combined with the enlarged magazine release you see right here already makes the gun feel so much better and easier to operate compared to the Gen 3 Glock 19s. I'm pretty sure a lot of you are interested to know what's on the inside of this gun rather than what's on the outside. So internally, this Glock 19 Gen 4 features the same exact internals as what's found on the 19X. I did a very 30-minute long comprehensive review of the 19X, so I'm not going to get into all the nitty-gritties. If you want to check out that video before you proceed, go ahead, click on the card above, or you can find it in the description below. But some of the things that you're going to find on this Gen 4 version of the Glock 19 are the dual recoil spring. So you're going to get a very snappy and responsive pistol. The second thing you're going to find is it also features the same quick hop-up adjustment feature that you can adjust right here at the guide rod with a very small Allen key. Oh my goodness, how this feature is so helpful. I would say even better than what Marui has on their gun. The sights are the same as the 19X, 3-dot style, and with super small Glock markings everywhere, just like on the real steel one. I guess Glock is really proud of these sights. Now let's talk about its competition. As I previously mentioned, the H9 was designed to be a natural evolution of the 1911, and looking closely, that statement is pretty much true, especially the grip angle. Though you can see that the grip is going to be a little wider than what you would see on a traditional 1911 because it's designed to shoot a double stack 9mm magazine. So it's a little bit bigger than a traditional 1911, but I would say not as wide as what you'd expect on a 2011. Taking inspiration from Glock, you can see that the H9 is indeed a striker-fired pistol and also features a trigger safety. However, the trigger is far from that of the Glock. It is a more straight-back 1911 style trigger, which many have said is the best kind of trigger out there. Now that we've gone over some of the similarities, let's talk about the original design that we see right here on the H9. At first glance, it looks extremely futuristic, and if you place it next to the Glock, judging solely by looks alone, I would say the H9 has it beat. It's a much better looking gun. Now you may also be interested as to why it's got this large front end. Well, that's because the original design concept for the H9, their mind, they wanted to be able to lower the bore as low as possible to have a low bore access. In doing so, they had to lower the dust cover and put the whole recoil spring assembly right here in the bottom. And the same thing translates to the airsoft version. Now, what is the benefit of having a low bore access? Well, in the real steel world, the bore, which is your barrel here, the lower it is, the easier it is for you to control the muzzle flip or the rise of your gun, giving you a little bit easier time with controlling the recoil. And airsoft, well, it's really not all that necessary, but it sure makes the gun look great and it points extremely well. Ergonomically, the H9 feels very familiar, no matter if you're a Glock guy or a 1911 guy. Being inspired by the Glock, and as we can all probably agree, the Glock is kind of like a household brick. But familiarity is on the Glock side, and the moment you pick up an H9, all the controls feel exactly where they would be if you shoot Glocks a lot. As I also said, the H9 is the natural evolution of a 1911, making the grip angle and the feeling of this gun feel exactly like that of a 1911. It's got the same grip angle as I said. It has this beaver tail with a grip safety, more on that later, and these grip panels feel great in your hand. Fair amount of checkering, and even though your hands get a little clammy, they're not going to want to slip off. The slide features nice slide serrations up front and in the rear, as well as a top slide serration right here on the slide. There's a fiber optic front sight that is a red dot and a blacked out rear sight, making it incredibly easy to track. This gun is a full metal gun, So it's got a bit of weight to it. It's also licensed by our friends over there at EMG, so it's got all the corresponding markings and logos everywhere. And it looks really well done, to be honest. But this is where I'm gonna feel a bit sad. Recently, Hudson has closed down completely. So sadly, you will not be able to find another one of these in the real steel world, whether it be bad luck or bad timing, who's to know? But if you want to get your hands on an H9, Airsoft is gonna have to be the way for you. So earlier in the video, I talked about the grip safety as well as the thumb safety. Today, right now, I'm gonna show you how to change out the thumb safety, just like this. Here we go. Let's start with taking the slide off. There's the hop up, by the way. Make sure everything's lined up. There you go. Now's that time again. We're gonna pit both guns against each other, and these are the set parameters we're going to follow. Number one, we're gonna talk about FPS and FPS consistency. Which one is gonna score a little bit better here? My money, well, you know what? I'll just let you guys find out later on. The second thing we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about short range and long range accuracy to see which one is gonna hold a tighter group. We're gonna shoot the shorter range test right here, and of course the longer range test downstairs in our warehouse. And finally, I'm gonna judge both guns on something I would like to call shootability. So it's gonna be things like, how does the trigger feel? How's the recoil impulse feel? Do they feel sluggish when they cycle? How does the grip angle feel? And I feel you guys also wanna know these things. So less talking, more shooting. Let's get right into it. For both guns, I'll be using 0.2 gram BBs in green gas, starting with the Glock 19 Gen 4. Pretty good. Now it's the Hudson H9. That is very outstanding. That's our Quake target. This is the Glock 19 Gen 4. At a close range, the Glock 19 Gen 4 performs as expected. Now let's see how the H9 performs. H9. Let's take a look at that grouping. And this is how you give the Glock a run for its money. Look at this tight grouping. Right here, yeah, there was a flyer, even though it did hit dead center, but this grouping is about the same as the Glock 19. Now let's see how they perform at longer distances. There's our quick target. We're a little bit further back. I'm gonna start with the 19 Gen 4. I think that's pretty fair for a shorter barrel gun. You know what? I'm just gonna dump the rest of this mag into that target. Sorry, Quake. Trigger is very crisp, and that blowback feels really good, very solid, very light, extremely snappy. Now let's see how the H9 holds up. Now it's time for the H9. Let's see how she shoots.
Is what I think, you know what I mean?
The results are a little not as good as the 19, I would say. There were a few flyers out there, but I'd say maybe that's just due to the hop up. You can fine tune it a little bit more. It's really neck and neck in terms of the shooting experience with the Glock 19X. The cycling is quick. They must have used a really stiff recoil spring right here in the bottom because that's cycling. Ooh, superb. The sight radius, I prefer this one with a little bit longer sight radius over the Glock 19. However, this red dot up here is a, well, not red dot, this red fiber up here is a little difficult to pick up as the bottom here is also closed, so it's not being able to pick up a lot of light. Another issue you may find is the trigger safety itself. Now, in the heat of the moment, you might pull on the bottom of this trigger to try to shoot your opponent. The problem with that is if you pull on the bottom, you will not be able to actuate the trigger to take it off safe to fire the weapon. You're gonna have to ride that finger a little higher up. Now for me, it's not that big of a deal. Some people may need to get used to it, so just take some time and get used to this gun if you wanna use it skirmishing. Now, I wanna dump the rest of this mag in there because even though with all that said, it's still a fun gun to shoot. Let's go back to the studio. So I reviewed all three first run Umarex Glocks as well as the Glock 19 XRA. If you want to check out those reviews, click in the card above, or you can find them in the description below. Now, if we're just basing everything on paper, both guns seem to stack up incredibly well. Matter of fact, in a lot of aspects, they're neck and neck. But if we're talking about the shooting experience and overall sensation, then there is actually a pretty clear winner. Let me give you a rough automotive example. Both the BMW M3 and the Ford Mustang GT will do 0 to 60 miles or 0 to 100 kilometers per hour for you non-Americans out there in just over 4 seconds. Both will go around an oval track in about the same time, and even though the Mustang has more power than the BMW, about 460 horsepower versus 425, the metrics are pretty much the same. But I would argue that the German machine feels a little bit more precise, a little bit more poised, and if car reviews are to be trusted, the M3 is undoubtedly the slightly better car. The Umarex Glock is clearly the M3 in this situation, and that is thanks to the continuous improvements Umarex and VFC has made to ensure that the latest and the greatest systems are placed into their product for you to enjoy. Clearly the Glock 19 Gen 4 is a great performer. It shoots crisp, it's got amazing response, really good felt recoil. I say the recoil on this Gen 4 feels actually stronger than what was found on the Gen 3. And honestly, I just shot the Gen 3 not too long ago. All in all, I think you get an extremely refined product with this gun. Now clearly the Hudson H9 is the Mustang in this situation. It's big, it's bold, it shoots amazing, and it is very comfortable. I would say it actually feels more comfortable to shoot than the Glock. But there are certain limitations. Its recoil was great, the felt recoil was strong, but it goes back to my gripe. Its trigger is a little meh. I would say it's about 50-50. I've handled the Real Steel one extensively, both at SHOT Show and at IWA, and I really enjoyed it. There just seems to be something that didn't translate all too well into the trigger found here. I wish there was a little bit more work done to it to refine the whole package, but all in all, I mean, it is no slouch of a pistol, this thing. So if it's performance you're looking for, I'd look no further. The Glock 19 Gen 4 is where it's at. And this is going to be your performance-based pistol if that's what you're basing your purchase on. However, if you want something raw and cool, just very American, I would definitely go with the H9. Not to mention its collector's value, since sadly they closed and Airsoft's the only way you're gonna be able to get one. Which also makes this whole situation quite sad. For a company like Hudson that wanted to bring something different to the market, think differently, their outcome certainly didn't turn out as good as that other company named after a fruit. So I guess there is a price to pay when you want to be original and bring something new to the market. It's a sad thing, but I guess that's what happens. But I want to know what you guys think. Would you like the Glock or the Hudson? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And don't forget, if you want cool products like these and many more, don't forget to check out our online store at www.redwolfairsoft.com. My name is Mark, aka Boo Steel. I'll catch you guys on the next episode of RedWolf TV. Have a good one, guys.